everyone. Great to have you here today watching this amazing opportunity to learn more about wealth and money. So, I am Marcella Silva, your Land Baroness, helping people create wealth with land. And in my journey, I came across this most amazing, brilliant, wonderful, kind-hearted woman who has truly opened my eyes even more to how money works and creating wealth. So I want to welcome Heather Russo. She is a wealth strategist and founder of I Am Generation One. And I'm super excited to share her with all of you today so you can continue to create wealth for yourself by learning from her. So, Heather, welcome. And please tell us a little bit about yourself and how and why you got into becoming a wealth strategist.
Thank you, Marcella. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to talk with you always. I learn so much from you as much as you say you learn from me. So I love the synergy of the relationship, and I'm really excited. This is my most favorite topic to talk about, and it's one that most of us never talk about. So thank you for being brave and bringing this to your audience to start discussions, not only from what we will discuss, but hopefully they go home and start having these conversations, inside their families too, because that is how we create legacy. I
Yes.
always say that the money is the frosting on the cake. It's the wisdom that we pass down so the future generations will know what to do with the money so that it can keep lasting. And so it's vitally important to have these conversations around money. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I am, yes, Heather Russo, and I started my wealth journey when I was a teenager. When I first started working, I was a very abnormal teenager. I couldn't wait to turn 18 so that I could open up an IRA. Very uncommon, but that was my goal as an 18-year-old. I was going to conferences on money and budgeting when I was like 15 and 16 years old. So definitely not the norm. But I feel like my story kind of is we didn't have much when I was growing up. So it became something very real inside of me that I did not want to live my life that way. Like I didn't want to create my adult life that would happen one day and live that same way. So I was trying to change the trajectory of my life. And so I was very studious about that and just started. Those were the books. That's what I did on weekends as a teenager. Super boring.
But amazing. I mean, look what you've created. So, congratulations.
I really thought it was. I was studying all the gurus of the times, which were a ways back, Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey. He's still quite popular. So they really helped start my journey into understanding bits and pieces about money.
I love it. I love it. Well, so talking about money and you learning things, share a truth about money that the general public doesn't know about?
Most don't understand how their money is really working. An example that I like to give, most people have a mortgage. So if I ask them, say I have a new client, I ask them because we're doing an audit of all of their finances, what's your mortgage rate? If they were lucky, it's around 2.5 or 3%, if they got a mortgage 5 or 6 years ago. And that's what they actually believe it is. And it's true at the end of your mortgage. It's not true right now. So right now, if you are in a mortgage and it's 13 years or less, it's over 55% interest.
Wow.
Most people have zero clue. Like they are concerned about credit cards at 29%. I was your mortgage is beating that because but they believe that it's 3%. So I think the biggest myth is that they don't really know what their numbers mean or what the numbers actually are. And it's by design. It is a little bit of tomfoolery in order for us to, because what sane person is going to sign up for 55% interest for 13 years and then slowly going down from the 55%? Most people will not do it. So that's a way that they educate us is, at that end result and not really the price of it going forward. So I think it's interesting because by design, the American dream is to buy a home, but actually my experience is your home is what's keeping you broke. because of this amortized rate, right? So now you have, let's say, half your mortgage or 30% of your mortgage is going to this interest to a bank when the average person moves every 10 to 12 years. So we just continually start the cycle over again and we stay in that 55% range. Where if you had a different type of loan, so not amortized, and we just did a simple interest loan, that could reduce your payment by like $1,000 a month.
Wow.
Or here's a radical idea: don't buy a house, rent it, and take the capital you would put as a down payment and start investing it in something that can be income producing, cash flowing, or appreciating. Because the truth is, our house is never just the cost of our house. It has taxes, repairs, insurance, updates, like it's endless. So that cost that you look at your mortgage is like the starting point. And on average, it's about 20% more a year in costs. And so, because of those additional costs and the wasted interest that you're paying to the bank on a house that most people are never going to be in till it gets to the 3%, you're giving all of this opportunity away that
Wow.
could be building your wealth first. And then when you've built your wealth and your income, passive income, and have income producing assets, now you buy the house with all the profits, right? You didn't take all your income and then burn all your opportunity going into a home. Just
Wow.
something to consider, something to consider. And I know our culture really drives home the owning a house, and that is for the not the good of us. It's actually for the good of the banks because hello, 55% and they've got millions of people. Like, why is there big, beautiful banks on every corner or four banks in a block? It's because they make huge money off of us. And so just understanding the true cost of your decisions. And maybe it would be okay to take a different path that might be a little different in order to reach your goals and give your actual freedom and financial stability sooner by holding off some of these things that are really touted as like must-haves or measurements of success. I don't think being house poor is a measurement of success, but that's what our culture paints it as.
Wow. Just that's like mind-blowing bomb drop. I mean, that gave me chills when you said that. Just your home is keeping you broke.
I
Like,
believe that.
let
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Because
people.
most people, they're doing it too early. So there's a sequence to everything, right? So does that mean never buy a home? No, but have yourself financially stable and able to be able to rely on assets to make part of those payments rather than yourself, because that puts you behind the eight ball. I meet with so many people that are far behind in their retirement or financial freedom planning because they have no money left. And most of those people own a house.
Most of their money went to the house. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that here where I live, where I mean, it's literally people are slaves to their home. It's all day, every day, 9 to 5, and not to mention the hours of driving to get to work, all to buy this house, which they barely have any time to be in. And so, yeah, that's huge. And I appreciate you reiterating this statement about the house because I personally don't own the house that I live in, but I own over 4.5 million square feet of land that is continually growing for me. And I don't feel bad about not owning a house, right?
Right.
Not
And I
falling
love
in.
that because I feel like our culture makes it like you're a renter, but there are many people who are building wealth. There are extremely wealthy people. Grant Cardone, he's like, I would never buy a house. Never. He leases everything. Like, no, because that's not what the wealthy do. So the middle class or aspiring rich are doing actually in so many ways with their money the opposite of what the wealthy do. And that's why you're trapped. That is why it takes 40 years for retirement, because that's a complete myth. It does not take 40 years, but it will if you do it the American way and the way that we're taught and told. It will take you that long, but you have so many options. And the where you start is just really understanding how your money is really working for you or against you and be willing to look at that honestly, make possibly some different choices in order to get to the quality of life that you really want to have.
Yeah,
And I won't even talk about the myth that people think your home is an asset. An asset pays you. Last time I looked, I don't know anybody personally that their house, a general everyday person, that their house is paying them. They're paying the house, they're paying to fix it, they're paying to for the higher insurance costs, which If you have been around the last few years, insurance has gone up on an average 20 to 30% every single year. So there's this moving target. And so you might get a raise at work. And you're like, cool, I'm getting ahead. And then here comes inflationary costs in many different ways. And this is not just with the house. Obviously, it's our food, it's gas, it's just all the things in life these last few years. But these are these moving targets. And we make a plan for 30 years. We sign this document not knowing what's going to happen in our life over 30 years on this mortgage. And we just totally signed up for it. And we think, one, it's going to be static, right? We think this price isn't moving. This is my mortgage, but it moves all the time because of property taxes and insurance. And then we also think that our house is an asset, but it's actually a liability. So there's a lot of myths just on the home. And again, I'm not against real estate. I'm not against home ownership. I love my land. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to repair anything. I don't have to think about it. It's working in the background. It has the possibility to cash flow for me at a point in time, and it's appreciating exponentially. So that is one of my favorite assets. Actually, real estate has its place, but real estate, if it's the home you live in, it's not an asset. And it is also when you're investing in real estate, the cash flow tends to be quite low. So it's not generally an income producing cash flowing asset like people think. What it is an incredible tax benefit and an incredible opportunity for appreciation.
Yeah.
So knowing where to classify some of these things that you might have in your portfolio, maybe you own real estate, and in your mind, it's a cash flow, the place in your portfolio is for cash flow. And that's generally not true for people because one air conditioner unit replacement or one bad tenant, your cash flow is gone for possibly 1 to 2 years. So just really being honest about how pieces of your financial system are working, what they're doing, and how they're classified, I think is a lot of the myths that are happening, and having us make choices that are not accurate with the reality. So that's what I would say. There's perception, our mortgage perception, and then there's the reality. Our mortgage perception is 3%. The reality for most people is 55%.
And so much more. Wow.
And
Yeah.
that's happening in many areas of your finances.
It's scary. It's
Well,
scary how,
it explains why they say it takes 40 years to retire.
yeah, it does in the traditional system
Yes.
that people have been led to believe.
Right. And
And
you're not doing your own investigation, right? Because there's a lot of personal responsibility. We are not victims of that mortgage. We chose it. It is in every mortgage statement. It does tell you you're going to pay on average 2.5 times the amount of this house at year 30. So the information is there, and our human nature is to kind of just really avoid reality to fit the dreams that we're chasing, thinking it's going to produce this different reality than it does. And then 20 years later, we're wondering why we don't really have more net worth. But I've gotten raises and I bought this and I did that. But yet, my purchasing power, another thing most of us are never looking at, is our purchasing power. And that's a really important piece because you can be really misled. Like maybe your investments, an example, your investments were 80, let's say $100,000. And then there was some market fluctuation, downturns that happened. They're cyclical, right? And it went down to 80. And then a few years later, it came back up to 100,000. So in your mind, oh, I have my $100,000 back and so I'm fine. And so you make financial decisions based on feeling fine because your capital is back at 100,000. But that $100,000 is no longer worth $100,000 like it was the year before because of taxes and inflation. So you are probably more in the 90 percentile, 90,000. But the paper says 100 and our perception is 100,000 is worth 100,000 like it was a few years ago. And as we all know, our dollars, what they were purchasing 2 years ago, can't purchase the same amount. So perception is I'm fine. So now I'm going to go spend more money over here. Now I can go on the vacation. Now I could do the fancy whatever. But the reality is that you're actually moving backwards and we don't even know it. So there would be another example of that perception versus reality.
wow. That is so scary and it's again mind-blowing and it's the norm. That's I think what is just having been in my business for 15 plus years, one thing I've found is people don't trust themselves in making decisions about money, especially decisions that are outside of the norm. They need like some sort of support from someone else to make the decision. And in, what we've been talking about, the houses and stuff, I think a lot of those decisions were made because that's what people do. And like that's the norm.
Yeah.
And so I find it very interesting that you're saying, no, the norm is not what the wealthy do. And
Right.
so, what can you shine a little bit of light to help people see maybe what their blocks or beliefs are, how they're preventing them from reaching their wealth goals?
I think, well, actually, I asked ChatGPT this the other day and had a little poll going on my Facebook of what do you think is the number one reason that people, the number one money fear? And it's not having enough and not being confident in their decisions. And so you're right, we do pass that on. And so I think it's changing the conversation and putting the accountability back on us. No one is going to care about your financial future more than you do.
Yep.
No one. And especially if they're designed to make money off you, whether they perform for you or not. Like, how crazy is that? It's practically like being a weatherman. You can literally say what the weather's going to be, and if it's not, you never get fired. Well, that's the same with the financial advisors and planners. They're like, well, here's the perception of a 30-year plan we have for you. And year after year, you may or may not hit those goals, right? To get to that end result. Yet they still get paid their 1% no matter what happens. Like, that's pretty amazing. And I think a lot of us we assume that they are personally hand selecting, looking at our stocks and bonds every day, and they're going to move us and protect us. And it's not. Most of them, it's on autopilot. It's auto investor stuff that they're setting up. And so it's not designed to necessarily move with the flow. They're not having stop losses to mitigate your risk. They are not talking about how to have a volatility shield. They're
Mhm.
not generally, I'm not saying this for everybody, right? This is not a hugely blanket statement. It's just a majority, but they are not calculating in the cost of inflation. So on average, the market has returned 8%. And inflation, if you look at the government statistics, they measure like two or three things. But if you've been to the store in the last 5 years, your groceries have gone up over 30%. As we already talked about, home insurance, car insurance, gas has all gone up much more than the 2.5% that the government like to say that inflation is. So truly, inflation is more at any given time, probably 9 to 12% if we're adding in all the cost of things, right?
Gosh.
So if I'm earning 8% on average and my inflation is higher than that, did I really move up? My financial plan will say I did because it'll say on my 100,000, now I have 108,000, but the inflation was 10,000. But nobody's telling me, nobody's putting that number in there to show me, am I really moving forward or backwards? So, and we haven't even talked about taxes on top of that. So, and we haven't even talked about the risk of the market. Like nobody has a crystal ball. So we have no idea at the time that you need to retire. And we're at our most fragile in our older age and not certain of how our health and wellness will be or our abilities to continue working later in life if we had to. You don't know what that is going to be at the time you need to go retire. Just ask anybody who tried to retire in like 19, was it 1999 or something when the markets really went down. There
Right.
was people who had to like stop retirement or people who were retired and had to go back to work. So they usually don't create like a full safety net. And again, I'm not saying there's not a place to have a financial advisor and planner. There could be, but passing off the most important thing, our ability to be clothed and sheltered in our old age, is not something we can remove our responsibility from. And I know it's really easy to do. It's so easy. And we're generally so burdened down with life because life is moving very fast these days. There is a lot of stress, there's a lot of hours, there's a lot of commuting, there's a lot of, high cost of inflation and things like that. So it's easy to just bury our head in the sand, but nothing changes if we don't change anything. So at a bare minimum, I suggest getting a second opinion. If you were sick and you weren't sure what you had, we go to a doctor, right? Or two to make sure that this is what's happening. So, at the very least, get an outside second opinion of performance. Add in inflation, like just take some baby steps. Look at your mortgage, figure out what the cost really is. Is there maybe a different type of mortgage you could have that's not amortized, where you're not giving the bank a large portion of your money, 55% of your money that's not even eradicating your principal? They're out there, they do exist, they are stable, they're just not talked about.
Hmm. Wow. It's that's crazy. And it's interesting because, I remember a previous conversation I had with a client of mine, and she was talking about how they just started working with this financial advisor. And she made this comment about how the financial advisor didn't even talk anything about or mention anything about or look at their mortgage, which is like the biggest expense they have in their life. But no, we're not looking at that. We're looking at all these other products that we're
That's
going
the
to
investment.
put you in. Yeah.
Yeah. We need to look at the whole financial picture. Like that is definitely missing in general. Again, there's exceptional people, but I will tell you, I have financial advisors and client planners that are clients. And when I speak to a lot of this stuff, they have never heard of it. They
Mhm.
have never heard of a break even rate, which is how much does your portfolio need to return to mitigate the loss of taxes and inflation? So we all have a number that will say if your purchasing power is moving forward or backwards.
Right.
The
Wow.
problem with that is that it's usually so high because, like, let's just take a 9% inflation, right? And a 30% tax that could equivalent to a break even rate of 13%. Like your money, everything you have working, your savings, your investments, everything has to earn 13% just to stay at the value. So we're not getting ahead. We're just not going underwater. We're not drowning. Most
Right.
of us are drowning, but the metrics that we're measuring aren't showing us what's really happening.
Using old metrics.
Often they're not taking a full picture, like you said. Like
Right.
they're
Right.
just like, oh, that's the way that it is.
Well, and just to continue on with this conversation about advisors, I remember back in, I want to say it was probably 2010, I had met with this financial advisor, and we were talking about the downturn and such. And he said, yeah, our client's perception is that they didn't lose much money in the 2008 crash because we used the amount of money that they personally funded into the account as part of their return. I was
Exactly.
like, oh my gosh, do you realize what
Yeah.
you just said? And I don't think he realized like that's not okay.
Well, that's not honest. That's perception versus reality. Yeah, I added the return. That's not
Yeah, I
that's
put
not what
my
I'm
money
looking
in.
for. I'm looking for my money to make money, not the money that I added. But yes, that would be another way. Again, like I talk about, they're not showing you the true metrics that are happening there. In addition to, and I don't, this is not a bashing of, this is a transparency. So have these conversations with your financial advisors and planners. They're not bad people. I don't think they're bad people. They are providing a service the best that they can. These are just some flaws that I think are standard in the practices. They're just operating the standard practices. This is how it has been. But those fees, generally over 3 years, or I'm sorry, a 30-year portfolio between the fees for whatever investments you own, those all have expense ratio fees somewhere. Sometimes some are small, some are bigger, but it's there. It's just not shown clearly. And then you have your advisor fees. So as much as and exciting as the compound of returns are, so is the compounding of those fees. So we're compounding up and it's compounding us back down. And we're compounding up a little bit depending on our return. And then maybe we're coming back down here. So realizing that the cost of the fees eat away a third on average. So if I saved $1 million, 333% is gone to fees. That is not in any of our plans perception, but that is the reality that is happening. And those are things you need to know. Maybe you decide you don't want to do anything different because you're like 100%, I'm not handling my money. And that's okay. Just understand the cost of doing that business. It doesn't mean don't do the business, but
Right.
actually understand what that means for your future. And is that trade-off worth the value?
Right. Wow.
There's so many perceptions and realities, right? Like none of us consider fees, generally speaking. That is never a conversation that comes up when I am doing this deep dive into everything, every place their money goes, everywhere it's being held, how they flow it, all of that. That's never a concern because they don't even realize the impact of it.
Right. Well, and I think most people don't even realize there's fees. So
Right.
I have a lot of my customers, they take their old 401ks and IRAs and roll them over into self-directed IRAs to invest with us. And many times a conversation about fees comes up because with self-directed IRAs, it's exactly how much you're paying.
Right.
But with 401ks, there's it's interesting. A lot of people say, "Oh, no, I don't pay any fees for my 401k."
There's management fees 100%. Nobody's doing that work for free.
No, it's not clear what
No,
it is.
it's not. It's not. You have to really dig down and look and find out. I know. Because there's the internal fees, right? Like every time they switch you out of a mutual fund or stock, there is a fee. Like 100% there's a fee for that somewhere on top of their management fees.
On top of
So
them.
especially in your 401ks, actually the fees, I want to say, if I remember correctly, were somewhere between like 2.5% and 3%. Like it's big, big, but it's masked in a way that's not easily transparent.
Right, right. Because ultimately, they're making money even when you're not.
Right. No matter what, they are getting their cut.
They are getting their cuts. So people are losing, their 401k turns into a 101k.
Yes.
And guess who's not losing?
Right. It's yes, it's not that. So just understand where your money's at, dive in, ask the hard questions, understand it, make sure you're clear on the fees that there is fees. Like nothing is for free. Trading in and out of stocks, mutual funds, it's not free. Their system and structure is not free. So it'll take some digging most likely, but like do that for yourself just so you understand. Again, I'm not saying you necessarily have to make choices, but just understand what is really happening with your money, what is affecting the outcome, making sure inflation is being calculated at a different rate than the government, because again, they're just looking at three things. They used to look at something like 11 or 15 different things, but then that number was getting like high. So many, many years ago, they're like, I think we're just going to concentrate on these three things.
Oh, wow.
And it feels big. Like I know it's a lot of information,
It
but
is.
it's worth it and your future is worth it. And what we teach our kids is worth being uncomfortable. It's worth giving up a little bit of that Netflix time or scrolling social media and making this piece a priority in our life. And again, it doesn't have to be big moves. Start with little slivers, baby steps. And the baby steps are really just understand what your money is doing or not doing, or what's being calculated to show and shown to you is accurate with what's going on underneath the hood of a 401k or your portfolio investments.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important what you just said is, taking baby steps. So you've shared a lot of information that's probably new to many people, and it's kind of scary too. So in my experience with myself and with others, there's fear, there's possibly shame and guilt. That's kind of there possibly preventing others from moving forward, from looking under the hood to see what's really going on. So, what do you think are some of the biggest blocks and beliefs, misbeliefs, misperceptions that are preventing people from reaching their wealth goals?
Excellent. And you shared a couple of them, right? Guilt, shame. How did I get here? How do I not have more money? Why am I not putting more money away for retirement? Why? There's a lot of those questions. And I always say wealth begins right here. Like this, the foundation of wealth is right here. And it's what you believe is possible, what you're willing to do for your future. Mindset is the number one. It's literally the rock of your foundation before you ever touch any paper money or digital money, whatever kind of money is floating around these days. It's going to be in here and releasing yourself from any thoughts. It doesn't matter what happened before. We're right here in the present. I'm right here. I'm right now. And now I can decide to do something different. I can decide to learn something different. I can decide to implement something different. I can decide that self-care of my financial situation for my older years and to model to our kids is something that's non-negotiable for me now because I care enough about me.
Mm.
Because nobody is going to take care of you like you're going to take care of you.
Yeah.
And I really want to speak to women. So, women, 1 in 3 chance, you are going to have to make major life financial decisions through accident, illness, death. And if you're not prepared at those really important times when sometimes you have to make quick decisions. And if you have never started to learn about money, you will not be informed. And those decisions can wreak havoc on your future. So it's never too early to start, and no step is too small. That's what I want to say.
That's fantastic. And I know in my wealth journey, I kind of came to my own epiphanies years ago, seeing how my 401k, I knew it would just never was going to get me where I wanted to. The only way it would go up was when I put money into it. And that started me on my own journey to just find a good investment. And I did a lot of research and went to seminars and just read books, just taking it all in. And I'm so grateful to myself then that I was following my gut feeling.
Right.
I wasn't listening to
Responsibility. You said,
norm.
wait, yeah,
Yeah,
this is a responsibility too. Hey, the math is not mathing.
the math is not
I
mathing,
need to do something. I
and
don't know what it is, but I need to do
I
something.
need
So
to
I'm
do
going on
something.
a journey to find out what it is.
Right. And so I think it was me following this gut feeling, hey, Mother Nature never lies.
Right.
And my internal self knew that I had to do something different, and I didn't quit looking until I found something that, again, my gut feeling was like, oh, this is it. This is the way, rather than listening to what other people had to say. Because, like you said, people don't care about your financial well-being like you do for
Right.
yourself, and it being self-care too.
It really
So.
is. It truly is. It's self-love, it's self-care. And I won't even touch on the fact that if we don't take care of our financial future, so if you don't have enough, who does that responsibility go to? Your children. So if we continually decide that we're not going to look at money, I'm not going to learn about it, I'm not going to figure it out, I'm not going to look at my money, I'm not going to look where I'm spending, I'm not going to look where it's invested or not invested, I'm not going to look at it. You are sentencing the next generation to having to carry that burden. That is the truth and that is the reality. And I know as me as a parent and every parent that I know, we only want to make our lives better for our children. And part of that comes from us being able to take care of ourselves through all of our years. That is our responsibility. It's not their responsibility. And the burden is large. I can speak from proof that I'm living right now. I have a wonderful aunt who did not prepare for her future. So now she lives with her husband. Well, she lives with my husband and I, and we dedicate 4 to 6 hours. Thank God my wealth journey allows me this time freedom because part of my joy is being able to take care of family. And thank goodness I have the means to do that. I'm free to be able to take care of her. At one point, we're not going to be able to take care of her, and that burden of cost is going to come onto us. If we were not financially abundant like we are, I mean, think of an everyday person. Can they handle $6,000 all of a sudden out of their budget and they're trying to raise kids? Or, I mean, so I like to really spew the reality as scary and tough and heavy as money can feel. The burden that you're putting upon yourself for not receiving the best care, proper nutrition, medications, all those costs that are going to come when we get older, in addition to the burden that we could be putting on our families. Like that, again, perception with reality. Perception from a lot of people, it's all going to work out. It's going to work out. I just put $500 away a month and that's what I can do. And it's going to be fine.
And it's magic.
85% of the time, it's not fine. It's not fine at all. That's the reality. The reality are the grandmas and grandpas who are working at Walmart.
Hmm.
I don't know about you. I don't want to be 75 and have to be on my feet for 8 hours a day. I don't want my children burdened with trying to figure out how to pay for my expensive medication or put me in home care where I can be safer and they can be safer.
Right, right. That's so big because I've personally seen that with many of my friends who they've got aging parents. The parents need all this help and support and care, and they don't have the money for it. And so
Right.
now
They
there's,
followed the standard American prescription, probably, right?
yeah,
And it
exactly.
didn't work out. It didn't, not taking care of them in their final years. That's the reality is that most of the time, our financial planning doesn't work out the way that it's built, the way that we're taught to do it.
Right.
But the good news is there's lots of other options. There's
Exactly.
things we can do like the wealthy, but we don't have to be wealthy. I think that's another misconception that you have to be wealthy in order to enact some of these things. And you absolutely do not. You just have to be willing to take the time and effort to learn about it. I always say it's generally simple. It's just not easy. And the easy part is in here. It's the fear, the worry, the stress, which I'll remind you, you already actually have. You doing nothing, you already are loaded with all of that. So why not have some fear and stress about moving forward and creating something better for yourself? Because we're going to have it one way or the other.
Right. Right. Make positive changes. I think what it ultimately comes down to is making the decision to change,
Yes.
and then it goes from there. Like you said, baby steps.
Baby steps. Yeah. Was it
So
Atomic Habits? I love the book Atomic Habits. Just talks about get this little new habit and then put another baby habit on top of that. And pretty soon, that beautiful thing of compounding that everybody says is like the ninth wonder of the world or whatever they call it is actually working in your favor.
that's
Yeah.
huge. That's
And I
huge.
like to talk about the risk averse. So a lot of people are like, I'm so afraid. I'm so afraid to do something wrong, right? So they hold a lot of their money in, let's say, their savings account. They've got 30 or $40,000 in cash on hand because they're so worried about putting anywhere else because they're going to get a loss. They're worried about losing. You guarantee yourself a loss sitting in the savings account due to inflation and taxes. You literally guarantee yourself a loss. Why not give yourself a chance to have a win instead of a loss? Like the again, perception and reality. Perception is I have $30,000 sitting in my savings account. I can't lose, but you literally are guaranteeing your loss from the thing you're afraid to do that could have the opportunity of a win. Instead, you think you're safe, but you've actually guaranteed yourself a loss. It's the riskiest thing you can do to have your money not working for you. It's the riskiest thing you could do, but we're taught that it's the safest thing to do.
Right.
Don't take this out of context. I'm not saying you shouldn't have money in savings. Not what I'm saying. There's other different savings vehicles and assets that can be completely liquid and earning you more than inflation is doing with very minimal, if zero risk.
That is huge. And I can't count how many times I've heard the words, I'm risk averse or I'm very conservative. And they're doing the things that you're talking about. So in reality,
They're taking the biggest risk by doing nothing. Yeah. We take the biggest risk by not looking at how what our money is really doing or not doing. It's the biggest risk we have.
right. And
And
I think it applies to like all areas of our life. I mean, health, right?
everything. Yeah. It's all
everything
connected.
everything that we do, we have to, if we want to continue to get the same results, we continue doing the same thing. But if we want something different,
Yeah.
and it sounds like from what you've said, wealth is possible for everyone, and you don't have to be a multimillionaire or billionaire to be wealthy.
You don't. And you don't have to be that to start.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
So that's what's really different about my work. And I am super passionate about um, this movement that I'm creating. I am Generation One, that I want to create the people who are ready. You have to be ready to have the courage and the strength to change the trajectory of your family's life forever. Like that's who my ideal audience is a person who's ready to say, this is not the future that I plan for me or for the rest of my lineage. And they're willing to stand up and learn and do things a little bit different. And that is my passion. It's like literally movements, what I named my company. Why I named it I Am Generation One is because it's like our flag in the sand. Like I will be it. I'm going to be that for, I am that. Sorry, let me correct that. I am that for my family.
Yeah.
And it is so incredible. I think we often think of having more money, rich, wealthy, whatever version of a label you want to put on it as something that's bad or greedy or selfish. And I just think that is such a misconception. Because
Mhm.
honestly, the wealthy people that I know are insanely generous. Are all of them? No. But there's a lot of people who aren't wealthy that steal and lie and cheat. So I don't think that's measured by our wealth. But I do feel personally that God calls us to be as wealthy as we can because not every person has that opportunity. There's people with special needs and circumstances that they're never going to be able to make that difference in their life, but we can stand in the gap for them. I can't stand in the gap and be of service to women trying to leave an abused situation just on the basis of my time. I can be much more powerful and impactful if I've created wealth and that wealth now gets to overflow into my community, into my family, into the world. It takes dollars. We all like to say, you know, there's time service that is also valuable, but I can't put them in a house if I don't have dollars. I can't build the house without dollars, even if I have the time. So the more of us that are ready to stand up and change that trajectory, the more of the pebble effect we get to have, not just for ourselves, our immediate family, but our communities. And then outwardly, like sky's the limit with what the impact that you can have and do. Like it's
Huge.
the least greedy thing you can do if your heart is in the right space. So it just depends on the person that you are, right? Uh, I don't think greed or anything like that is defined by the level of money you have. It's defined by the person and that you choose to be.
100%. I'm feeling everything that you're saying and I love it. And it's beyond just, hey, I'm hoping to be able to retire, but making an impact, a legacy impact for not only your f family, but your community. And I know in my experience with women, women want to help.
Yes.
And many times it's to the detriment of themselves.
Right.
And so what I'm hearing you say is you're helping women and men of course.
Of course. Yes. Yeah. I just, for women, it's imperative because most women are not financially well educated just because their husband handles the finances or, whatever. So that's why I just spoke specifically to women. Like it's important that you do start getting an understanding if you
Right.
don't.
Empowering women, empower yourself
And
to,
everybody. Yeah.
you know, wake up to the reality of money and it doesn't have to be hard.
Right.
It's not, I have to work hard to make money.
Right.
That's what we've been taught to believe.
Yeah, there would be that perception and reality. The reality is my money works way harder than I do. Thank
Right?
goodness. And I'm really grateful for that. And I thank my money every single day about all of its hard work, right? So, yes, we're just trained for us to work for the money. And there's none of that in the more main circles, there's not conversation of what your money's doing for you.
Right.
Like that doesn't even enter our minds, which is super interesting because I will pull this a lot of times with my audience, do you believe you can, like your money can earn the money for you to live? And most people say no, but yet that's exactly what your retirement will be. So you believe theoretically that you can retire someday, but you don't believe that your money can make the money you need to live, which is what is going to provide for you in retirement. It's so interesting, the psychology of it.
Major disconnect.
Yeah.
Major disconnect. And in my own personal self-growth, spiritual growth, one thing I've come to understand is money is just flow of energy.
Yes.
So considering it that way and then looking at how am I blocking the flow of energy? And like you kept saying, it's all right here.
Yes. And it can be some of the smallest things like gratitude. Like, are you grateful for what you already have? Like, if we're going to talk about energetics, right? The more you're grateful for what you have, the more that tends to get magnetized to you, right? We in your human nature, you feel this. You know when someone comes into your office and they are mad, right? And you're just like, oh, I'm gonna stay away from that guy. He's like, you can feel his energy, even if he says nothing, or her, not necessarily a man. Someone comes in super upset. They don't have to say a word, but you're just like, ooh, right?
Oh,
So
100%.
how do you think our money feels or reacts? Right? I always say this like, okay, so if everything's energy and your money and you decide to just keep it in a savings account, you just shoved it in the closet in the dark and you
Yeah,
don't come
I
visit
don't want
it.
to talk to
You
you.
don't come, it doesn't get to come out and play. It doesn't get to move freely. It doesn't get to do anything. It's just how energetically do you think your money wants to do anything for you? It does not. So and part of that is also just realizing how wealthy we already are. I think, especially in the United States, we take so much for granted. Most of us, if we look back at our 20 years ago self and what we have today, probably far exceeds the dreams of that us 20 years ago. And we have all of this, and we probably don't even thank ourselves
Hmm.
for doing that or realize that we can create, like we can create the things that we want. Like that is possible. Look what you've created. And I know it can be scary and overwhelming and hard, but so is life. And you have 100% track record of success. You are still here. You have had some hard times. You've had some losses. You've had things that don't work out and break down, like could be possible with your money. And you've navigated it and rose above. That is also possible with your money. And just remember the track record of who you are. Who you are. You show up no matter what. I take big risks. I've built up that strength to do it. I've taken big losses and they've prepared me to hold even more wealth. Like I can't have the strength and the courage without building up that muscle. And that muscle came from things didn't work out like they were supposed to. Something didn't happen. A promise was broken. A something went bad, and such is life. Like nothing is different with your money, but it's who you choose to be. Like just because life got hard, you didn't give up. And so even if you're going to have some difficult times with money, as long as we don't give up, everything can still move forward and grow and be possible.
I love that. It's really just get out of being a victim to circumstance and become your own hero.
Right. Absolutely. Become your own hero because nobody else is going to be your hero, first of all. And second of all, just take a minute and appreciate what you already do have. Like, right?
That's and what's
Have a roof
available.
over our heads. It's probably a nice, beautiful roof with a couch you dreamed of, or in a neighborhood you always wanted, or you've taken these trips. Like I've traveled around the world. I had never even been on an airplane before I was 18 and got married. Like it just was not even in the realm. Like, and so for me, like getting married and then flying somewhere, like one, being on an airplane was, I never thought I'd be on an airplane. And then two, like being, independent, but traveling, that still didn't even enter my actual mind. I did not have my first real travel until I was in my 30s.
Wow.
Like I didn't get on a plane to travel for a vacation. Like it didn't even occur to me, even in my 20s.
And look where you are now. I
And now,
mean,
right, that's what I'm saying. Like, stop and just appreciate yourself and appreciate all that you have supplied and realize every time money comes in, like, be happy about that. I know my son teases me. He's like, I'll see a penny or a nickel, and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so grateful. I'm a money magnet. Money is everywhere. It falls at my feet, because if I'm grateful for little things, I feel like it just attracts bigger things. And so, but my son teases me, he's like, you're the only millionaire I know that stops and picks up pennies. And I'm like, because I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
grateful
For
for
my money falling at my feet. How can I not be grateful?
exactly.
I don't care the domination. It's the fact that money's falling at my feet.
It's just that energy flow. We don't have to
Yes.
label it or anything. It's
And
it's
we've done so much already. Like sit in your car and just,
be
man, I have a car. Think back when you didn't have a car. And all that you've worked, all the lifetime that you've given up to get that, like just take a moment to be proud of yourself, appreciate what you do have, and What else is possible?
Mm. There's wealth in gratitude.
I 100% believe that. It's a magnet.
Yeah, 100%.
And you feel better.
Oh
Like
my
when you
gosh,
just take
it's
a moment
uplifting.
and you look around and you're like, I do love this house. And I love going to my backyard and feeling the grass beneath my feet because maybe you grew up in the city and you didn't have that. And that was like a dream. And it's like, don't forget how far you've come and
Mhm.
go stand in that gratitude for what you've created and for yourself, the you that created that. It wasn't easy. Our life is not easy.
Life is always lifing for us, and it's an
Life is
interesting journey.
lifing. Yeah, it's flowing, but it's not every single second easy. Like we've had to get out of our comfort zones in order to create the next level of our life,
Mhm.
right? The next expansion. That usually
Exactly.
requires stretching, which can feel a little discomfort. But if you hadn't, you wouldn't be where you are. So can you imagine now if you start opening up your courage to looking at your money, possibly flowing it different, seeing where all your lost opportunity costs are. One of my favorite things is we talked about, your house is not an asset, it's a liability. It's an appreciating liability, but it's a liability nonetheless. But there are great ways you can unlock some of that appreciation and put it to work for you. It doesn't have to be debt equity. It doesn't have to be lost opportunity costs. One of my most favorite things that I did with my HELOC, I had a lot of appreciation and I was able to go over there, take that money that was just sitting around in a closet of my house in equity in the dark, all alone, doing nothing. And I'm able to take it out and then buy, my first piece of land with you. Like that was extraordinary. And now instead of it growing at an average of real estate at 5% historically, not talking the last 10 years when things have been crazy, people, I'm saying historical averages. Now I'm averaging, 20, 30% plus in appreciation. So I can take this appreciating liability and there are ways I can actually start turning it into an asset.
That's huge.
That's what's possible with what you already have. And that's the magic of the work that I do is that we really take what you already have. There's generally, for most people, so much lost opportunity, money leaks, ways we can do something, flow it differently that makes a bigger impact.
Mhm.
And you probably are sitting on a treasure chest and you don't even know it. That's
I'm just
picture.
applauding everything that you said, everything that you've done and helped me with, and all of the customers that you work with. So, to wrap it up, how can people get a hold of you so they can learn more and get to work with you?
Oh, thank you. If you feel so inclined and you are brave and ready to be Generation One in your family, I welcome you. I'm so excited. I do have a website. It's www. Do we even say that anymore? www.imgeneration1. There's a way you can connect with me by a quick phone call. We can schedule that. You can email me. I have an incredible newsletter. I don't think the link is up on there, but if you should send me an email through that platform of my website, I'm happy to send you our newsletter. It is filled every single week with tips and tricks and education and mindset on how to start flowing and doing your money differently.
I love that. Thank you so much, Heather. And for those of you who know me, you can also reach out to me. I'm happy to discuss Heather with you even more and connect you with her. But I highly recommend her in your wealth journey. Your future self will be so grateful for the
It
steps you have.
will be. And we are quite the power team. We have a lot of incredible strategies that can help you combine your wealth journey and land and lost opportunity and getting things going. So we are a dynamic duo for that. And I'm so grateful for it. And if you haven't checked out Land by any chance, if you follow Marcella, but you haven't checked into Land, it is my most favorite asset that I hold in my portfolio. It is the thing that is going to have the biggest impact on the legacy wealth that I want to create. So I'm so grateful for your time today and hope you guys just start thinking differently, even if it's a small step of get out your mortgage statement and just see what is your calculated interest rate. Check that out.
Small steps, small steps. So Congratulations to everyone who took the step to watch this and who takes the step to contact Heather and work with her. And we appreciate you all joining us today. Thank you, Heather, for all of the valuable information that you shared. I think it was very eye-opening. And as I always say, spread the love, spread the joy, everyone, and we'll talk to you all soon. Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.